Hey, what's up everybody? This is Kiki Abhishek and today I'm bringing you the review of this Lenovo S340. I just bought it a couple of weeks back and the reason I bought this was because many of you would be looking for an affordable laptop for your school that's decent in terms of performance and would easily get you through all your schoolwork as well as for your regular general stuff like internet browsing or streaming online media or social media and a little bit of light gaming on the go. So I figured that why not try this out. So this laptop is a 15.6-inch laptop, but in terms of its footprint, it's very close to that of a 14-inch laptop. So what I mean by that is the weight of this laptop is a very light for a 15.6-inch laptop, and this weighs almost very close to a 14-inch laptop. The bezels on the sides of the display are very narrow on this. They are calling it a nano edge display. So in terms of size, this laptop is also very close to a 14-inch laptop. So primarily two different reasons. One is you can buy this laptop in the AMD Ryzen 5 version. Then the size of this laptop is that of a 14-inch laptop, but you have a bigger screen space of 15.6-inch. So let's see how this laptop looks. So basically this came in a regular Lenovo box. There was nothing else. There was a little bit of literature and some plastic wraps, and it up a little bit so that it's easier for you guys to see. So that's what's on the left side of the laptop. You have the power adapter, you have an HDMI, USB-C, and your headphone jack. Then the way this laptop is cut through, it's not the slimmest, but it does have a sleek look to it. Nothing on the front. On the back you have not on the right side of the laptop, you have LEDs that indicate the power on, power off, then the Lenovo restore. Then you have a full size SD card slot, and then you have two USB 3 full size USB 3 ports. Nothing on the back. There's your fan grills are, and then your speakers are on right, not on the bottom, but it's on the bottom, but it's slightly on these sides. So let's look at the power brick that came in. The power brick is actually pretty big, and what's disappointing is that this thing looks like you can fold it. Looks like more like a travel adapter. I'm not sure if you can even slide this out and use a different kind of an adapter. It's not too heavy, but it's pretty huge compared to the other adapters from Lenovo that I have seen. Let's open this up. So it's nice and firm, not too much of a, like, it's not too, the way I describe it is not too easy or not too firm. It's just right. And then the keyboard is actually backlit, and it's a full-size keyboard with the number pad integrated. So now let's go back and talk about the display. So this has a 15.6-inch IPS 1080p display. It's matte finish, but it's touchscreen. So I haven't really. The display overall is pretty nice. It's rated at a 215 nits brightness, which is okay, and kind of is a little bit more on the category average. But if you are in the bright sunlight, working outside can be a little bit of a challenge. But definitely the matte finish does help, and even in spite of being a matte finish, it is actually also a touch screen. As you can see, the bezels on all three edges, top and the sides, are very narrow. There's also something pretty cool. They have a physical shutter on the camera, so you can shut that off by sliding the switch, and it turns red, meaning the camera is off. So this camera is a 720p. It's not really that great. It's pretty crappy, but yeah, it's still serviceable. It's not that it's grainy, but I think for casual web like web chatting should be fine. Now in terms of the keyboard, it's backlit, uh, it's full size, the travel is fine, it's just like any other Lenovo. uh, but I'm a little bit disappointed is because I felt like this keyboard needed to be more centered. So if when I was switching between laptops, I just felt like it was hard for me to get used to how the keys were spaced on this one. So as you can see, it's not very symmetrical, so your trackpad is a little bit towards on the left side, so is the keys the way they are laid out. So they are, I wish they had made it more symmetrical, so it would have been more easier to switch between a 14-inch or a 15-inch laptop, or even in between laptops. But if you have just one laptop and you're going to use this, you may get used to it and you may never notice the difference. But like if you are like me, who has to use different kinds of devices all throughout the day, you may notice that the keyboard is not centered. Now when it comes to what was pretty disappointing about this laptop was the benchmark scores. So I compared this laptop with the Asus Flip 14, which is also in one of my reviews from last few weeks back. It was powered by an Intel i3 with 4 gigs of RAM and a 128 GB hard drive. This is a Ryzen 5 3500. It has 8 gigs of RAM. It has a 256 gigabytes Nvme SSD. But when I ran the Geekbench scores, this was so much lower compared to what I got on that Intel i3. So I mean, maybe this has a better performance in gaming. When it comes to running the benchmarks, it was really a lot worse than the Intel one. Um, the other benchmark that I ran was the web benchmark, which is the Octane 2.0, and even that was also a lot low compared to what I got on that Asus, which was powered by the i3. So come on guys, I mean, all these boasting about AMD Ryzen being so much better than the Intel and all that, I didn't really see much of a difference. And also when it came to battery life, I felt that this was not anything better than Intel, if not worse. I mean, it is very close. I felt Asus Flip 14 was actually was giving me 8 hours of usage time. It was just not watching videos, it was just doing things like typing in and browsing pages. This would give you a battery life of at max like 5 to 6 hours. If you are watching something on this like a video, this would last around 3.5 to 4 hours with medium brightness on. The other few things I had noticed in terms of the screen brightness, it's not the brightest. They say it's 250, but I think it's close to around any other 220, 225. It's not the worst, but it's definitely not the best. So I can forgive Lenovo for that part. It's IPS, so edge to edge from different angles. The view isn't that bad. It's touchscreen, and it's also 1080p. So resolution wise, it is okay. In terms of RGB panel, this is about 78%. Not the worst, not the best again. So within the price range, this is what you expect it to be for a sub $600 laptop. The trackpad is okay. It's not, again, it's not the best, it's not the worst. So sometimes I would feel that it gets a little bit of stuck, and then it takes a while for it to respond. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen often enough to be actually to a point where I can say it can be annoying. But overall, I wouldn't say it's not workable and you need to have a mouse and all that, but it's definitely something you know workable. It's pretty big enough, and then it does have the integrated clicks on it and all that. It does support multi-finger gesture and all that. It's decent. So if I was to had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate this trackpad as a solid 7. But I would want to use a laptop with a trackpad at least with a score of at least 8, and this is not that one. Okay. So now what else I wanted to talk about. So In terms of weight and the size, actually, like I felt that the extra screen space would be good for me, but I felt this was a little bit, it's only 200 grams heavier than the 14-inch laptop Latitude that I have, but that 200 grams is noticeable. So on my day-to-day work and all that, I just felt that 200 grams, I felt the weight. And the second thing is this edges are kind of sharp. So when I was resting my arm on the wrist, um, the palm rest, so it was actually digging in, so I felt like the extra 200 grams and the sharper edges was actually making it a little bit uncomfortable for my usage. So this doesn't flip all the way, neither does but it goes to 180 degrees, doesn't fold back, doesn't have a 10 mode and all that. If you're into that, doesn't support the Intel Ink support, so you cannot use a pen to write on that. But well, it's a 15.6-inch laptop, so I mean mostly you wouldn't be looking at a such a larger screen to do that with. um, in terms of speakers, the speakers are also decent, but they are a little bit less louder than my than my Dell Latitude, and they are definitely a lot less louder than the Asus Flip 14. So uh, I can show. We can hear that. Let's try this out. So I'm gonna try to play the same video from both these laptops, um, and you can judge for yourself. So this is now the Dell.
We got money not to show, we just got money to blow. We gon' take another shot.
So now this is the Lenovo.
We got money not to show, we just got money to blow. We gon' take another shot. Maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4. We're always gonna speak, we'll never hit slow. And we're never gonna sleep, cause the night is all we know. Bottles on ice, yeah, we got this. Royce in the back, yeah. Maybe 1, 2, 3, or 4. We're always gonna speak, we'll never hit slow. And we're never gonna sleep, cause the night is all we know. Bottles on ice, yeah, we got this. Royce in the back, yeah, we bought this. Baby to my left is my mistress. All you fellas know you wanna have this. Poppin' so thick, yeah, we got this. Kelly top there, yeah, we bought this. Poppin' champagne, yeah, we bought this. Baby to my left is my mistress. All you fellas know you wanna have this. Poppin' so thick, yeah, we got this. Kelly top there, yeah, we bought this. Poppin' champagne, like a mistress. Party all night, yeah, we got this. Party all night, yeah, we got this.
I don't know, as you can see the Dell clearly, I don't know if you can um, observe that through the video, but the Dell clearly is a lot louder than this Lenovo. And the other thing that I noticed is while the screen looks a little bit more nicer because of whatever the matte finish is on the Lenovo, but the Dell is much more brighter at about 350 nits versus the 250 nits. So this is a Latitude 7450 with an i7. This is about from 2016, so about 3 years old, but it actually beats this Lenovo with a newer processor, the Ryzen 5. So this is a 5th generation i7 beating the shit out of this Ryzen 5 when it comes to benchmarks. So I'm not a big gamer, but I did, so this video that you're watching, I actually encode these videos with my laptop, and when I did these encodings using Cyberlink multimedia Cyberlink Power Director, I actually didn't see much of a difference between this newer AMD Ryzen 5 with the Vega 8 graphics or what I have with the Intel 520, which is the 5th generation versus the graphics. The difference was so less in terms of the encoding. I mean, if this completed my encoding in 45 minutes, the Dell was not, it was just a little shy of 50 minutes, so it was not a huge difference for being so many generations newer from so many newer generations for the Lenovo versus the Dell. So definitely if you're looking for a laptop and you like the S340, go to the store, check out, because that's the only way to figure out whether you like the form factor, because it's very important, because when it comes to the comfort, or whether you like the form factor of a particular laptop, it's very personalized depending on the size of your arms, how tall you are, how big your hands are, how strong you are. So it's always better to actually visit a nearby store where they have this laptop on display and then try it out for a few minutes. You may not be able to judge the performance as such, for which you have to go come online and look at videos like this, who will tell you how the performance is. But if you find out that some laptop has good performance from the reviews, and even before buying it, I think you should go to a store and actually check how the ergonomics of the laptop works out for you. If you like the ergonomics of this laptop, I would say just get the Intel version. Skip the AMD version for now, because I don't see there's much of a price difference between the i5 and the Ryzen. It's probably around $60-70, but I'm leaning towards thinking that the i5 version of this laptop will actually perform better than the Ryzen 5, at least your benchmarks and your day-to-day task. Overall, that's also another thing. You guys might say I didn't play any games, so why I'm bashing the AMD? But I'm telling you, the same stuff that I do on my Intel laptop, I did on this, and this felt slower than my 3-year-old Intel laptop. I actually did a full, like a clean installation of Windows 10. I did install another second hard drive, because this does have a 2.5-inch regular SATA slot, so you can actually add an additional hard drive to it. There's space for that here. RAM is also upgradable. There's 4 gigabytes of RAM that is on board, that's soldered onto your motherboard, but there is one slot that you can upgrade. So right now they have a 4 gigabyte chip in that, but you can buy a 16 gig DDR 2400 or even 2666 RAM and put it on there. But even with 8 gigs of RAM and the Nvme SSD, I didn't see that this was flying or was actually faster. I felt the Asus Flip 14 with the 8th generation Intel was faster. Even the Samsung Spin 7 that yeah, I think I had the Spin 7 was also with the 8th generation Intel i5 seemed to be a lot faster. For some reason, I don't know, this Lenovo didn't actually, I didn't like it. I did a clean installation of Windows, I updated the BIOS, I updated all the latest drivers and everything, and it did improve on the benchmarks a little bit, but it still isn't as fast as the others. So it might be just me, or maybe they send me a dud, but overall I think AMD still has a little bit of catching up to do with Intel. So for now I'm just gonna play it safe and stay put with the 8th generation i5s and i7s, because they are coming down in price because of the 9th generation. Some of the laptops already coming up with the i9 versions. So that's all, guys. This is what I wanted to show you about the Lenovo IdeaPad S340. If you leave your comments and questions, I'll try to get back to you. To support my channel, just subscribe to my channel and like my videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Till then, bye.